Welcome back. This is Hoops Lounge. We're doing the Brooklyn Nets. We're looking at the potentially second worst team in the whole Eastern Conference. We have a projected starting lineup of Jared Jack, Bojan Bogdanovic, Thaddeus Young, Brooklyn Lopez, and Joe Johnson. Myself, Phil, and Justin, we're going to break this down. Justin, this is they actually have Andrea Bargnani. I forgot to mention that, so we got to give him some credit. Former #1 pick over LaMarcus Aldridge. So Brooklyn Nets, where do you think they're going this year? They lost a Plumlee, lost some pieces. They still have Joe Johnson.
I think you're being too low on Brook Lopez. Like, the thing is, the Nets still do have talent. Like, they have decent players. I think they're going to play a bit more of a fun, exciting style. I think they actually had a pretty good draft overall. They got young guys. They're going to be able to play a little bit of defense, which will be nice. Brook Lopez is still a very, very good center when healthy. I just don't think you can bank on that. Jared Jack is kind of looking like he might end up being the starting point guard. Who knows?
That is such a bad scene. His usage last year was terrible.
Jared Jack's just the master of the pull-up mid-range, so that's not going to help them. I believe in their coaching to an extent. I think Lionel Hollins is going to try to do some funky stuff. But yeah, like you said, we both listed where we thought teams would be in the Eastern Conference, and the Nets came out as second for us. So but I think it's going to be a long season for them.
My biggest question is when you're looking at this lineup, like you're giving props to Brook Lopez. He's a good scorer and shot blocker. Where the reboundings come from? Thaddeus Young and Brook Lopez are not going to lead the league in rebounds. And while Joe Johnson's decent for his position, I can see them losing a lot of rebounds. Very poor guard play with Jared Jack, and their two position is terrible. Their wing position, while they did draft, as you mentioned, Rhonda Hollis Jefferson, which adds some defense and athleticism, Joe Johnson's the only real playmaker there. I mean, maybe Wayne Ellington wakes up and becomes the star he and his family hoped he would be. But apart from that, I'm just kind of excited to see Thomas Robinson. And if that's the most excited I am, then it's kind of a sad thing. I mean, if you're looking at a best case scenario, do you really see them doing anything? Because Brooklyn's a big market, and to me this is kind of an ugly, like, especially after losing all those draft picks to pick up these guys, like you have no future and this is your present.
Mm-hmm. I think they did the smart thing by unloading a fair bit of salary. Like, they got rid of Darren Williams, which is going to make them worse, and Joe Johnson's contract comes off the books after this season, so I think they want to stay somewhat competitive, knowing that they don't have their draft pick. But unfortunately, like, the Eastern Conference has improved. Like, I think all these teams, basically, other than Philly, I think if they got injury luck or a few things go their way, they could make the playoffs. But I just think out of all the teams that were kind of looking, or I guess the Nets made the playoffs last year, but at the teams we kind of project to be on the outside looking in, I think the Nets have the least convincing case to make the playoffs. I mean, like you said, where are the rebounding going to come from? Bargnani's not going to help them with that. It's going to be a long season for the Nets. I just don't think they have the playmaking, the defense, or the rebounding.
Okay, and if you had to call their all-star for this year, just to give some glimmer of hope for the Nets fans out there, are you just chalking it up to Brook Lopez, or does Thaddeus Young have a shot there?
I'm going to give it to Brook Lopez. I think a couple years ago, when we saw all those centers go down, the year that Dwight was in LA, I think Lopez was basically the best center in the NBA that year. Like, he had a fantastic season. He was rebounding better. He was playing decent defense, but he keeps having setback after setback, and he's clearly their best player, but hopefully he can stay on the floor.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you're a Nets fan, hope for the future. This has been Phil and Justin talking about the Brooklyn Nets, projected second worst team in the whole Eastern Conference. We'll catch you on the next preview.